A woman in scrubs handed me a clipboard and said, "Just initial here, Mrs. Ellison, and here, and here." My son Kevin stood behind her, not quite meeting my eyes. "It's for your own good, Mom. You'll like it here." I signed my name the way I'd signed thousands of documents over 40 years. Legibly, deliberately, and with a middle initial I hadn't used since 1974. The one that would tell my attorney, the moment he saw it, that something was very wrong. My name is Margaret Ellison. Everyone calls me Peggy. I'm 78 years old, and for 41 years, before I retired, I was a title examiner for the county recorder's office. That sounds like the dullest job in the world. It wasn't. A title examiner's whole job is finding the lie hiding inside a stack of paperwork that looks perfectly legal. A forged signature, a deed transferred under pressure, a power of attorney signed by someone who didn't understand what they were signing. I spent 4 decades finding exactly the kind of fraud that happens to people like me. My son Kevin is a good man who married a woman who is not. Denise had been asking, gently at first, why I still lived alone in a house that big. Then, not so gently. 6 months ago, she started driving me to doctor's appointments I hadn't scheduled with a physician I'd never met, who kept asking if I ever got confused about dates. 3 weeks ago, Kevin sat me down and told me it was time. "Just a trial stay, Mom. A few weeks. Denise found a lovely place." He didn't look at me when he said it. What neither of them knew was that I had already noticed the quitclaim deed sitting in a drawer in my own kitchen, one I hadn't put there. The deed transferred my house, paid off in 1994, appraised now at just under $600,000, into a trust with Denise listed as sole trustee. My signature was on it. I had never seen that document before it appeared in my drawer. I didn't confront them. Not yet. I wanted to know how far this would go, and I wanted proof, not an argument I'd lose to "Mom's getting confused." So I let them move me in. I smiled at the intake nurse. I let Denise pack a suitcase with exactly the clothes she wanted me to have. And the moment I was alone in that room, I called the one person who still owed me a favor from 4 decades of doing my job well, Arthur Klein, the county recorder himself, who I had trained fresh out of law school. "Peggy," he said, "why are you calling me from a nursing home?" "Because I need you to pull every document filed against my property in the last 6 months, I told him. "And Arthur, check the notary seal. I taught you how to spot a bad one when you were 26 years old. I want to know if you still remember." He remembered. The notary stamp on my quitclaim deed belonged to a man named Gary Holt, a notary Denise's sister had used before for a different property matter that had also, coincidentally, ended up in a family dispute. Gary Holt's notary commission had expired 11 months before he stamped my deed. An expired notary seal doesn't just weaken a document. In this state, it invalidates it outright. Arthur filed the paperwork to void the transfer the same afternoon. Then I called Kevin. "I'd like you and Denise to come get me," I said, "and bring the folder Denise keeps in the filing cabinet in your garage, the blue one. I already know what's in it." They came. Denise's face went pale the moment she saw Arthur Klein sitting beside me in the visitor's room, a manila folder in his lap. "Mrs. Whitcomb, Ellison," he corrected himself, "your notary's commission lapsed in March. Every document he's stamped since then is void. That includes the deed transferring your mother-in-law's house and, interestingly, a similar deed filed 18 months ago on your sister's property in the next county." Denise didn't say a word. Kevin looked at his wife like he was seeing her for the first time. "Mom," he said quietly, "did you know about this the whole time?" "I found the deed the day you told me it was just a trial stay," I said. "I wanted to see whether my son would ask me a single honest question before he let someone move me out of my own home. You didn't. Not once." I moved back into my house 11 days after I'd been moved out of it. Arthur's office referred the forged notarization to the State Attorney General's office, which was already investigating Gary Holt for the other deed Denise's sister had filed. Denise is now the subject of that same investigation. Kevin comes to see me every Sunday now, alone. He doesn't bring paperwork. He brings groceries, and he asks me questions about my job, the real ones, 41 years of them, that he never once asked before. "I always thought you just stamped papers all day, Mom," he told me last week. "Everyone thinks that," I said, "right up until the day it matters that I didn't. For 41 years, my job was finding the lie hidden in paper that looked perfectly ordinary. I never once thought I'd have to use it to save my own front door. If someone in your life has ever tried to make a decision about where you belong without asking you first, you already know there's nothing confused about remembering exactly what you signed and when. If this story felt familiar, subscribe to Secure Elder Life. And down in the comments, tell me, has anyone ever tried to move you out of your own home, your own decisions, or your own life without really asking?